Welcome everyone. I'm Beryl Richards. I'm chairing today and we're here to look at kids drama and where we might be going in the future with it. Kids TV is often seen as like a canary in the coal mine, and as our young audiences are into their technology faster than we are, kids TV is often in the front line of working out how to respond. It gives us clues, I feel, to what's going to happen in the broadcast environment in the future. Where do we go to find our audience, and what do we need to create to keep hold of that audience? My lovely and very experienced panel will introduce themselves in a minute. My own background is as a lead director and producer of many well-known kids dramas and comedy series, quite a few of them filmed here in Northern Ireland. I'm also executive producer of the kids drama series for the European Broadcasting Union. That's Eurovision, people who do the Eurovision Song Contest, but they do lots of other co-productions with public broadcasters across Europe. And a number of broadcasters that are here have been part of my series over the past few years. And here's a 1-minute trailer just to give you an idea of that series, which we'll be talking about as part of our discussion this afternoon. Okay? Okay, thank you. Right, so I'm going to ask each of the panel to introduce themselves, and they're going to play you about the same sort of length clip of their work, so you get an idea of their area of expertise.
So my name is Eimear O'Mahony. I've been in RTE now for, I'd say, over 25 years, and I've worked all over the house, everywhere, except the canteen, I'd say, but look, who knows what the future might hold yet. I've been in kids commissioning for the last 8 or 9 years now, looking after animation, live action and drama, and I'm the exec for RTE for the EBU Kids Drama, which we've been involved with now for a long, long time. We do a number of drama series, produce a number of drama series, and I just want to show you a quick clip of one of our drama series, The Unreal.
Ding, ding, ding. We're the Kellys. We're checking in.
Credit card, please.
Do you have a ghost?
Of course we have a ghost. They've made a movie about it.
Ghost boy.
That ghost doesn't stand a chance against the Kellys.
The manager is keeping the ghost boy prisoner.
I don't care.
I'm really scared right now.
Let's get as far away from here as possible.
No. If we run now, we'll never stop running.
The Unreal, streaming now on RTE Player.
Okay, and on we go.
Hi, I'm Aoife Hendrick. I'm a producer-director with a television and film production company called Macala. We're based in Dublin. We work closely with RTE, TG Cahir and Virgin, making many, many different types of children's programmes. We are, at the minute, producing Cúla Cahir, TG Cahir's first microdrama. So that's what I'm here to talk about today. This clip shows a little bit more of our dramas. We have some stuff with RTE and TG Cahir in there.
Careful! Let's go!
Hands up! Hands up!
George, August Fionn. Anish le nísmo dausa. Le nísmo cluhi. August nísmo su talún.
Plasta!
Seo go léir I ddír na nóg RTE Junior.
never know what's around the corner when you're hanging out with us.
Whoa! Ceir é seo.
sé sean.
Tír saoil! Cé sib se?
Spáisimuid.
Cládás tíh?
Dyna yw lot fi. Mila. Slan.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Bedwyr Rees. I work for Rondo Media. Rondo produce across a wide variety of genres within Wales and the UK and internationally, but most pertinently for this conversation, I'm the executive producer of Round Round. Round Round is a long-running soap opera. We celebrated our 30th year last year, and it originated as a children's soap opera and has evolved now into more family viewing. What I'm going to show now is, I think, relevant to where I come to this session from, in that the session's title asks us if the future of children's drama is in microdrama or in high-end, returnable drama. And my feeling is that it's not an either-or question, and that what we're trying to do actually is to build a wider IP universe around our content, which means that high-end stuff does happen, but we also create across all platforms and try to create content which is platform native across whatever that might be it TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and that content does a different job for us, as in our engagement with the audience. So it might target a different demographic of the audience, or it might be specifically to capture new audience, or it might just be to engage more depth and engagement within what is actually originally just that lineal program. So we've grown across our TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and whatever the platforms might pop up in the future, and that means documentaries, spin-off series, behind the scenes, all that jazz that you're going to see. That's coming up now, basically.
So you've got a clip now?
Yeah, here it is.
Dwi'n meddwl dwi'n gwario tua 4 i 6 awr ar ffôn fi yn ddyddiol.
Surely di hwnna methu fod yn iawn. Nes i wybod am y storyline cancer tua blwyddyn yn ôl. Ymateb cyntaf fi oedd, oce.
A fi sy'n chwarae rhan Kelvin Walsh, neu fi oedd y chwarae rhan Kelvin Walsh ar Round Round am 28 o flynyddoedd.
Helo, Gwion dwi'n newid yn chwarae Ed yn Round Round.
Chicken Katsu Bites ar angenrheidiol Diet Coke.
Dwi'n mynd am yr salmon poke hefyd. A dwi'n di dryslo bach o'r soy sesame dressing.
Y syffwyr gwallt, achos fel ydych chi'n gweld, mae'n y clwhaniaeth rhwng ngwallt i a gwallt Elen. Rysgol bach amor! Dode!
Crempog, dwi isio menyn i ddechrau, wedi toddi, a wedyn bach siwgr a chydig o lemon.
Dwi di bod.
Yeah.
O Gymru, roedd i ti fy mywyd o waliau, waliau. Dymunwn Nadolig llawen i chi, dymunwn Nadolig llawen i chi.
Oh, serious Tom, be ges i ginio?
ie?
Ie?
Gobeithio nhw'ch chi fwynhau gwersyll i fron.
O, dim diolch, ie. Dwi di bwcio spa hotel. Lawr y lôn, joio di.
A ti di bod yn anfon llwyth o negeseuon i hogyn arall? I Tom!
Hwyl fawr am y tro. Fel i chi eto.
Oh, God. Yeah, sorry some of the captions. We had a tough day at work yesterday, which I won't go on about, but we threw that together slightly quickly, so I didn't review the titles, sorry, but it gives you an overview.
Okay,
my name is Jamie Kieran. I'm a producer-director with the BBC Gaelic children's team. We make programmes for BBC Alba. Most of my 18 years in media have been spent working on children's programming, from factual, entertainment and drama. I'm the creator of Unskull, which is a kids' comedy drama that I've led from the start through 3 series. Most of my sort of experience is hands-on in programme making, so working with young audiences, schools and cast. I'm also working with children's advisor with the BBC Safeguarding team. And the clip I've got to show you is the trail of the latest series of Unskull.
Adra garam, gyda'r crisis ila i'r far.
Solid traffic! Can't avoid! No. Danny! Venus! Venus!
Next to you, cheers! Ach, meis!
Easy! Sio fferis yn canu dawn sy'n teifig.
Am ik a hwgsyn. Gewoon nog een miauw zijn teivik.
Ligas me! Kan du ikke se inn i henne? Jeg holder meg et skosjo av
Okay, great. Okay, thanks all. Right, so I'm just going to start with Eimear. I'm going to, just about the EBU, I'm going to come back to the EBU series, but I'm just curious to know sort of what you feel as a station, as a broadcaster, you've got out of that collaboration.
Yeah, so we've been involved with the EBU Drama Exchange for a good number of years now, and it's funny just seeing how engagement with the industry has grown with it. Like, we do really see it as, you know, when people submit to it, you know, it's funny, the amount of people that we see this year say that submitted to it, it really was off the charts. And I suppose we kind of see it as a training ground for new directors and new writers. You know, it's a 15-minute drama, there's a decent budget, and you're getting, you know, like a lot of time, it could be a really good primetime slot. So, you know, we've had directors go on to produce other dramas for us and all the rest. So we really do look at it like in two senses. Obviously, we're always trying to get good content that's going to entertain our audience, but we do also see it as a really good training ground for just, you know, building in the industry, creating more directors and giving them experience. But it's funny because, you know, like we go to the exchange and we meet the other broadcasters, and it's when, you know, you find out what other people are doing. And even from our latest script meeting, just talking to our colleagues in TV and SR TV, they were talking about how they were putting the EBU dramas on YouTube and just watching it, the different engagement rates with them, you know, and ones that were translated didn't necessarily do less as well as the other ones, you know. So it's something that we're going to look at now, at just putting 10 of the EBU dramas that we have, some of the English language ones and some of the other ones that we've dubbed on our YouTube channels, our RT Kids YouTube, just to see how they go, because we have 10 years rights to them all, and just as an experiment, just to see, you know, if the engagement is there with them.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that in a bit later, actually. Now, I think what we'll also sort of, we're going to look at the sort of range of drama that's available, and some of the sort of new thing on the block, if you like, is microdramas and or vertical drama, as they're called. That's very short, sort of not more than a minute or two, and we've got a number of our panel here who been involved in that. So do you want to start off by talking about your experience of that, Eva?
Yeah, it's very new to us. TG Cahir, Karina Ferter in Coolacahir was brave and clever when she said, right, there's a pot of money there, what can we do with it to stay relevant, as we're always looking to do Oscailga. It was, we came up with a very simple, relatable idea, I feel. Our program's called Díl an Dabhsa, and it is based on the life of a young girl who likes to vlog, who isn't really allowed to vlog, but likes to vlog, like a lot of teenagers, spend too much time online and portrays herself in one way to one group of people and then is a very different person at home. So it was Díl an Dabhsa, it's diaries, so diary style. So ours is actually a mixture of vertical and landscape. They're between 4 and 6 minutes long. We're trying this. Just to go back to what Eimear said there, TG Cahir are obviously we're calling them pocket pilots, I think now, because it's a brilliant opportunity to go. We've a small amount of money. It's a different approach to production, absolutely. It's a different approach to scripting, but it's a brilliant learning curve for us, and I think TG Cahir as well. And we're going to know pretty quickly how many people are watching it because it will live on YouTube and the player, which is very hard, personally, I find, to get feedback on how well your children's content is doing. We have to go to where they are, and where are they? They're on their phones. It's also a very hard space as well. I'll contradict myself and say they're not supposed to be really on phones under 13. So our drama will live on YouTube and the player, not on TikTok, because of safeguarding and all of that. I know Jamie can talk some more about that, but we are aware that we get the parents on our socials, hopefully, and we'll rein them in. But the child catchers, they call us the odd time to go, right, how do we get the kids and keep them? There's no straight answer to it, but so far so good. We are really enjoying it. We're in a post-production phase. We still have to see how well it does. I don't know. You spend a lot of your time going, no, I'm 20 years in the business. This isn't my first rodeo. This is my first rodeo. So we are a little bit nervous about it, but honestly, what's been incredible is the feedback of the people involved. We've very young people involved, and they do a lot of, nah, I wouldn't do it like that. Or, no, we'd never say that. So you're constantly learning. If you're over 25, you don't know what's cool. That's what we're being told all the time. I wouldn't do it like that. I'd do it like this, which is actually quite lovely, because working with young kids, although it is a drama, they're constantly giving you information to go, okay, that's how we get your age group. So yeah, we've a lot to learn, but it's exciting.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was talking to CBBC about this the other day, and one of the things they say that because they're experimenting with, and not with drama yet, but that you have to almost write things around a different way. So it's like a newspaper headline almost, with the most dramatic thing at the top, and then sort of, because that will be what capture your eyeballs or whatever.
They say every 90 seconds, a cliffhanger. A little bit different with kids, I think from what we know in microdramas is romance sells. I think the age bracket is 25 to 55-year-old women from English-speaking, whether they're English-speaking countries or not, women who speak English. So a lot of romance, a lot of exciting content. There's cliffhangers all the time. Kids is different. We know we have to approach kids carefully and more considerately, and how their brains work at a certain age. Obviously, all depends on what age your target is. But we are. You're looking at school stuff. I think it's a lot of friendships and family issues, things like that. But it has to be relatable and real. Although it's very aspirational, and they constantly are looking at content that's in a world that's different to them. They're trying to be like that. I think with drama, there's a lovely space to be very real.
I mean, I feel we have to be informed a lot more by our audience, because our audience are not part of our production team. They're too young, So I feel as though, as a genre, or as a children's genre, we're more sort of outward facing in terms of having to absorb that, if you like. Yeah.
As Aoife saying, you've instant feedback.
So you've got the actors on your team or whatever.
But even in terms of when it goes on YouTube or whatever, if you're not getting the numbers, it's not working.
And how do you get the numbers? I don't know yet, but hopefully we will get that feedback pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And again, for us, it's about being we're a minority language and, you know, being in a space that's cool and contemporary. And for other kids who have maybe the tiniest bit of Gaeilge to click on it and go, I can relate to this, I can understand this, it's quite straightforward for me. And it's all very relatable in terms of what teens are doing nowadays, I hope.
And then you mentioned there's like a sort of vlog, so they're talking to camera as a character. But it sounds as though also you're doing scenes within that. So in other words, like you know, like if they're caught like doing what they're not supposed to, that's a family scene. So it's not just like a single camera talking into.
No, it's a definite mixture, and a lot of the vlogging that happens within it is led by them. Although it is drama, we are sticking to a script. You know, I do have to say sometimes, I know you wouldn't do that, but would you just like to do it like this because she would? Because they kind of get into a zone of, no, I know what I'm doing. This is how I would do this usually. So for us, it's the particular, it's the subject matter is a young girl who's an Irish dancer, aspiring to be an Irish dancer, and has this persona. So it's very relatable as to what they're seeing online and what they think they should be online. But yeah, we have to stick to a script as well.
Interesting, that you've got that sort of dialogue in a way that perhaps wouldn't have happened a few years ago. Yeah. Do you want to talk? You're the other couple who are dealing with some of these issues. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'd quite like to pick up on being informed by our audience. I think upward mentoring is a massive thing that we need to do, and we try to do. To be informed by, especially Gen Alpha, who are majorly becoming tastemakers now, and I think you're absolutely correct that where vertical drama is now, it's mostly female skewing over 25 with disposable income, who will go past the paywall and decide that they want to follow that romance to the end. How's this going to work for kids remains to be seen. I think verticals or microdramas, whatever what you want to call them, propose at the moment to be the thing. Are they going to be the thing? I'm not sure. One of the things I would say is that the phone screen is their main screen, and so it seems to make sense to create content and drama that is native to that format. What we've tried to always do with Round Around is build an universe and be in the places where the audience live. And I think for a PSB, especially in a minority language, I would say this is probably a gift and not a threat, because as you said, the production costs are lower, the barrier to entry is lower. It's a lower risk playground than going all out and your full out high gloss drama. So I think it gives you a real good entry point. And when I talk about the IP universe, I think children are going to be finding characters and storylines through various apps or through whatever platforms they're on first, and then hopefully hand-railing them through to a wider and bigger piece of content, which might be the lineal television program on whatever platform
But you said, you said to me that when we were talking about this before, that you're taking, in terms of what you're using at the moment, you're taking the most sort of dramatic characters from around, and you're sort of opening up their characters a bit, just in this very short form. It's been mostly driven by my colleague Kieran here, who's been looking mostly into this for us, and who has scripted these pilot episodes that we've done. Evidently, if you need a cliffhanger every 90 seconds, it's going to be pretty melodramatic. So we've been looking at the characters who can live within that sort of world. The most melodramatic.
Yeah, so they are our larger characters. They are our more comedic characters, I think it's correct to say, Kid. But our audience as well, because Round Around has grown from being a children's soap, they will give us a lot of rope. They will know when we've got our tongue in our cheeks. So, if
they're so familiar.
Yeah. And they will they will be happy to take that character acting in that certain way in this microdrama, but she's back to being her normal way within the lineal program, if you want to call it that. So we've shot a pilot the week before last, which is how many apps, Kid? It's 5 apps at the moment, so it's only 5 apps. We're taking that to focus groups. There are 3 different grades of focus groups, different audiences, people who've seen Round Around before, people who've never seen Round Around before, and that sort of thing. So we're going to take their feedback before moving forward, hopefully, to fund some more. We've learnt a lot from doing it. We were discussing this on the plane yesterday, in that you have to be pretty on the nose with them, because it's very hard to tell 2 stories in one picture. Whereas when you're shooting in 16 by 9, you get somebody coming in the subtext. A cutaway of maybe a note on the table doesn't really work, because it feels really dead within that fast-moving place where you've got to be on the nose with your dialogue, really, which slightly rubs against the grain for us as drama writers and drama producers.
So different
it is.
Form,
it's storytelling, but it's different.
Yeah, I wanted to also bring you in there, Jamie.
I mean, microdramas are not something we've had the platform to do. We've only recently just got a YouTube channel in the last 3 months. With the clip that I showed you on Skull, the 3rd series, we have a really close relationship with the school that we filmed in. So we were going out and we were speaking to them about what they wanted to see, what they wanted to come back, and a lot of the kids from that school were the extras in the series. We did have some ideas around doing supplementary content like that would live online, but at the time we didn't have the platform. So what we did was the kids shot behind the scenes stuff while we were filming, because it was of their teachers and their interactions with the teachers. So it didn't really matter that they were seeing us in shot either. So it was quite interesting. It was quite a good way of doing it as well. And like some of the research we did as well was around keeping kids watching, and a lot of that was seeing their own vertically shot stuff. So that's why we included it. I saw that you'd done that as well. So we tried a lot of that. I mean, it was a bit of a nightmare trying to keep tabs of where the iPhone had gone at times, but it was really, we got some brilliant stuff from it, and it was really good to see.
Integrating your audience into the...
And I think that like our ideas with it, although we didn't go ahead with them, was that we could give some of those kids story arcs that would live alongside that, and then draw people in that way, so they would see this stuff online. And I think that would be a great opportunity to have them both living alongside each other. So it gives you a bit more, and it can give you a bit more personal, I think, of a character's personal story, I think, which could work.
Yeah, so well. I mean, that behind the scenes thing has always been around a bit on website, so it's just sort of adapting it a bit into this space, if you like.
I mean, we're fortunate that it was like a mockumentary, so it would be hard to do that with most things, but for us it worked quite well.
Yeah.
And it was...
So I mean, I'm interested in whether whether you think that it's a threat to longer term drama. I mean, I was chatting to again CBBC, and they've done like Crookhaven, which is 45 minutes long. They've thrown more money at it. They're wanting to sort of compete with Netflix or whatever, but they're therefore doing less in this space as they move to more sort of glossy drama. But what they were trying to achieve there was they got a BBC One slot. So essentially, they've sort of we're moving more towards family, and that's what you said as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that within the ordinary broadcast sort of world, that's perhaps where it's shifting, and then the experiments are sort of tried out on YouTube for that specific audience. I mean, what do you feel? Is that?
And so, even just looking at some of the dramas that we've commissioned over the last number of years, we have RTÉ Junior, RTÉ Kids Junior is our digital channel, and then we have a slot on RTÉ2, RTÉ Kids. But what's been happening more and more is that our dramas have been sitting on RTÉ1, our main channel, like say Sunday afternoons, so in a kids and family slot. So we are looking at that, having that space. But, it's like Bedwyr was saying, I don't think they can both, I don't think one is better than the other. They can both live. We still need to fill our schedule, and like with the RTÉ player as well. And I suppose, the thing with us at the moment is we're not commissioning kids drama for YouTube at the moment. So the only real way that we could have it sit on YouTube, or in terms of microdramas, would be like to, like slice and dice them or repurpose them. But then, you're not getting the format points that you need to have for microdrama. So that's the problem there, But it's definitely something we will be looking at in the future. But yeah, so, you know, as I said, our dramas, they're sitting now mostly on RT1.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it would be crazy to see it as a threat. I think you should look at it, you know, you need to get the two working together, I think. You know, it's a great way of pulling people in and getting that you wouldn't see elsewhere. Like, we looked at that with that series as well. It's like, instead of just targeting the kids, you want to make it like a whole family experience watching that. You know, it's something that can bring everyone together, especially a lot of the Gaelic-speaking communities, like certainly young kids. They have a lot of families don't have any Gaelic at home. So I think if you've got something that can bring a whole family together and watch it, and if it's got supplementary bits to pull them in, I think that's...
And also in schools potentially as well,
absolutely.
to use the... I mean, the language thing is I think, significantly connected to public broadcasters.
Especially for a minority language broadcaster. If you can nail this format, it means that that kids can engage with that language at a greater frequency, because it's going to pop up in their feeds, and you know, if you make sure that you're literate with the trends and literate with the memes and everything that's relevant, you can get that language popping up on their feeds and normalising that language because it appears so often, and it might actually be greater engagement than a linear television programme, which they won't find, or. So you know, it's an advantage, but I'd say for any minority language PSB, if you could create a drama for a returning drama for, say, 9 to 12-year-olds, a returner, I don't think there would be anything that would be strategically more important than that. And I think while we are still going to have to create this big universe, we also have to say to our kids, no, our language deserves vastness, and it deserves polish, and it deserves scale.
Yeah.
So we also perhaps create less drama, but spend more on it, and then spend the rest on, well, we're talking about vertical at the moment, but it could be anything. And you know, as for so you're going into the vertical space quite aggressively, and I think that's a good thing. For anybody who's interested, I'll get started in SFC's Digital Commissioner is here, and he's got a great interest in it. It might be good for you to have a chat with him, but that's the space we need to be in. We need to be in whatever spaces the kids are.
Yeah, I mean,
is the bottom line.
I just wanted to go back a bit to the EBU dramas, actually, the Eurovision dramas, because what they've in one of the stations that I work with, which is SR and ARD in Germany, have started putting our films, as you were mentioning, on their YouTube channels. And they run them normally on linear television and on their platform. They get about, on Sunday mornings, and they get about 100,000 kids. It's a sort of Sunday morning sort of family viewing slot. When they put one of them, which was made 10 years ago, which was a comedy about a boy who was jealous of his baby sister that was born, so he tried to get rid of her by getting rid of her down a rubbish chute and then selling her in the market and stuff like that. And that got 2.5 million on YouTube, which was quite something for them. So they're now putting quite a lot on there, even though they're 10 years old, some of them, but they are cleared for that length of time in all media. And so it's possible with what we make on the EBU. And this is happening quite a lot. And what's been nice, as Eimear mentioned, is that our fellow broadcasters that we work with feed that back to us. So we sort of get ideas off each other. And in fact, one of the things that's very early on with CBBC at the moment is that they're talking to the Scandi broadcasters and the Dutch broadcasters, public broadcasters in the drama space about potential co-production because there's an issue if we are making things that's going to be on YouTube. You can't it's quite hard to monetize it because you can't sell it abroad because it's already out there on the internet. So I think what we should do is have some questions. Yeah. We've got 10 minutes left if anyone would like to ask a question. If we could put the house lights up a bit so we can see. Okay. That's a good point. Have we got a microphone?
Just shout. Just shout. Go for it.
I've written it down if I'd like copies today. Okay. I'll yeah, go on.
Having like seen your show reels, there's quite a big like slapstick element to like your work, and obviously Mr. Bean being like quite universally like shown kind of slapstick comedy style. Do you think, given like the main objectives of this like showing like the Celtic language to lots of different people, is comedy the future of reaching young audiences, or is there different styles that you might find more effective than others?
Okay, so that's just for people at the back in case they can't hear that. It's a question about genre and whether comedy might be the most effective genre with which to reach audiences that we're trying to reach. Yeah, is that fair enough?
I think depending on whether it's preschool or kind of your 8 to 12s or 6 upwards, whatever, like fart jokes are always funny. Like, you know, it's not a personal opinion, but for the kids, like it always works. It's one way to get through to kids, and for them, I have a 3-year-old who always wants to see the next silly thing, but we don't, like, we definitely dabble in other areas, but comedy always works for I think under 8s, definitely.
And that's probably more slapstick, that sort of comedy.
Totally slapstick. You saw our first clip there was Dizzy Deliveries, about a delivery guy who makes a mess of all of his deliveries. That was one of our biggest on socials. It's got millions of views. It's an RTE production with McCullough, and that is absolutely huge. It is in English with Law sign language, which is specific to Ireland, and its views are much bigger abroad. Like, we've millions of views from abroad.
It does really well an RTE player.
And that is a guy doing silly things, ultimately constantly failing, and kids helping him.
And what would the target audience age be for?
It would be preschool, but kind of anybody. It's additional needs kids. It's mainly for kids with additional needs, but it is kind of family viewing, but it would be preschool targeted. Yeah.
It's, I think comedy for us as well, it's like I was saying earlier on, there's such a wide, in Gaelic, there's the level of fluency is so vast. It's a great way of bringing people in when their levels aren't quite, fluent. We found that with the 3rd series, with a lot of the feedback that we did, that some of the dialogue-based jokes were being lost a little bit. So we tried to, in the 3rd series, make it far more slapstick. And again, like fart jokes, people falling over, all that sort of stuff. So it's a great way of bringing everyone together, I think, comedy, and it's a great, certainly, like the fluency level, it's a brilliant way of bringing everyone in. So.
I guess, like, as a minimum, like, even if you don't quite understand literally every word that's being spoken,
yeah.
You can, like, read the situation just by
a fart.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting one in terms of visual storytelling, which is something that we do in the EBU series, because we know it's going to be, sort of dubbed or subtitled in other languages, which are often longer than the English or whatever language it might be. And so there's much more of an emphasis, I think, in this sort of area where you want to travel, whatever genre it is, to like tell the key storytelling points visually, rather than rely on, to explain it in the language. That's not to say you don't want the language there, but it needs to be probably a simpler form given the audience. Yeah, would you say?
Yeah, and it probably depends on the target audience. Yeah. I think, because comedy can be tough, probably one of the toughest genres. I think when you're looking at having broad appeal, and you mentioned Mr. Bean, I think one of the threats is that to have a long tail, animation doesn't age as quickly as live action. So there's a risk in creating live action in the hope that it's going to sit there and monetize over a number of years. And I think another risk perhaps is that maybe, and I'm not saying this to be true, but I'm just putting it out as a point of discussion, that the algorithm may favour broader sort of geographically neutral or worldly neutral storytelling, which might be a risk for less prominent languages, but also we need to look at how we can repackage our stuff. If monetization is what we're talking about, how are we going to repackage that stuff? And I'm slightly reticent to raise AI, but there is the technology out there to repurpose your work in a variety of languages, a broad range of languages, which can take it to the world in all sorts of of different languages, but that you can retain that sort of maybe cultural integrity of landscape and sense of place. So I think we need to look at all ways of making the most of our IP, to be honest. But if you can do that whilst also your own indigenous language sort of hits home with a few of these people, then I think you've done a pretty good day's job. To be honest.
Any other questions? Yes, right up the back there. Aha, got mics now. Excellent.
Hello, thank you for the session. It's more of a comment rather than a question, but I think it's really interesting when you talk about the word supplementary. And I think for me, in commissioning, it's moving away from the term supplementary, because that is the content. If you're creating offshoots, spin-offs, or things that come from a mother brand, it's important to know that young audiences, that is maybe the only content that they will engage or consume. So I think for me, what's really important is to move away from those terms in terms of when we're talking about content for young audiences. So I'm just interested to know what your opinions on, do we still need those mothership brands, as you've mentioned before, but how important is it to create original IP with short form content?
I think both, Guitar, probably. I think, the universe we've built around Round, which means you can engage with various different parts of that universe and only engage with that part of the universe, and you don't particularly have to find every other corner of the thing. I would say that you still, in that sense, need the mothership, because, as I said earlier, I think I sincerely hope that children still want stuff that resonates with them on a sort of local level, that they can understand their characters, their geography and their backgrounds. So we still need the motherships to show those children that they still deserve that vastness, I'd say. But also, I think it's a different question that we also need to create all the IP that you know about in various forms independently. But
Okay,
that mothership gives status, I think.
Okay, I'm just going to see if there's any other questions that anyone would like to ask. Oh, yeah, someone there. No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right, you're getting the mic. No. Getting the mic back. Okay, and anyone else at all? Okay. Did you want to say anything?
We covered it. Marvellous. No. 1 minute 47 to go. Marvellous.
Okay. Right. The only other thing perhaps that you might want to say briefly a little bit about is safeguarding, and there's a sort of politics here to do with encouraging children to be on their phones all the time by taking sort of that work to them.
It's such
and
a broad,
that's something that you were involved in,
Yeah, so it's like my main involvement is how we interact with kids. That's like what I sort of bring to it, I think, is like we were talking earlier on about how important it is when you're making programs that you're speaking to the kids in a proper way and dealing with them. They've got to be having fun, and I think one of the things I always want to talk about is how like kids always aspire up. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's so good, like you're talking about with Indigenous languages, that they need to see people speaking. You know what I mean? Speaking their language. Sorry, I've gone off from safeguarding. Trying to avoid it. No. So yeah, with safeguarding, I think obviously you've got to be so careful because they're not supposed to be on most of these platforms. Exactly, we've got to be careful where we're putting you and what you're targeting. I think we've struggled with that over the last couple of years, working with the team that do our social media, is that they're very reluctant to put anything out because they don't want to be targeting kids. When you're not, like as content makers, you're not specifically targeting the kids, you're wanting their parents, you want to draw them in through that way. But yeah, safeguarding for me is all about the interaction, how you're dealing and how you should be going through it with them.
Yeah, but there's also
It's such a broad topic.
No, there's also a cost to that, though. I mean, in the way
absolutely.
that's the responsibility as public broadcasters we also bring, isn't it? That isn't there with other people making content.
Absolutely.
And it starts in production. It's not an afterthought. I think it starts, we were speaking about it, like, and the having fun is one aspect of it, but there's chaperoning, there's obviously hours, there's all of that. But if a child looks like they're not having fun, your content is going to look like that. You're going to feel that from what you've created with them, because they're in charge. You might go in thinking that you're here to do a certain job, but they're going to feed you whatever they want. And if they're having a good time, it absolutely shines on screen. Like it's, you know, it's like obviously like a lot of jobs, but children are like they know what they're giving you and why they want to give it to you. So yeah, I think if they're having fun and we're doing it safely and correctly, that's what I think. And I think microdramas, people are afraid slightly of microdramas in the sense that it is, you know, the romance and the kind of the steamy this and that real short are kind of, if you open the real short page, I think they're called, the first few you'll see are how to keep a silver fox. And, you know, the names of these are absolutely terrifying. But with kids' microdramas, I think we can definitely look at them slightly differently and produce really high-end, really good and really considerate content for kids. I don't think because they're shorter we're going to compromise on anything.
You know, but it's having really good companies like McCullough, you know, who are really experienced in dealing with children all the time. You know, they're going to bring those sensibilities to microdrama. And I think, you know, that's what the great thing about it is, that we do have companies like that being across it, you know.
It's amazing when people talk about safeguarding, how terrified people are about working with kids, and it can be really daunting. You know, you're talking about licenses, and in Scotland you've got a different licence for every council area near enough, and it can be. And I think having kids at the heart of what you do is really important. You know, and they've got to be a positive experience, like you're saying, just shines. You know, and it's you shouldn't be scared of it. It should be something that you should embrace, I think. And
Okay, well, on that note, lovely panel. Thank you very much for your time and energy and thoughts.
Thank
you.